Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Welcome to the Game Dojo. It is your triumphant host, the Game Ninja, and this is 24K movies, reviews, TV shows, and games. Welcome. It has been 2 weeks since I have had no voice, no smell, no taste, and your brother was doing bad. Your brother had a little bout of pneumonia, and he was bad. But we back, and we're here. And during my time of being down, I had a chance to binge watch The Hunger Games again in anticipation of that new one that comes out, the Snow story, which honestly, I don't want to know how he became what he became, but I get it. Movies got a movie, yo. Stories got a story, yo. I get it. Trust me, I get it. But here we are. We're talking about The Hunger Games Catching Fire, The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1, and The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2. Yes, I am in my gi. I know, it's been a minute since a brother wore it. Got a little bit of dust on it, but the gi still fit nice and good. So, let's jump right into this. First of all, we're going to do the entire series. Some movies are better than others. It just happens. I would refer to the last two movies as the Crying Games, Part 1 and 2, because Katniss, Jennifer Lawrence spent most of the time crying and just looking at the camera in horror. And some of the people that was good who should not have died did die, and it was just stretched out. It was just stretched out way too much, and I understand. I know movie got a movie, yo. I get it. But 1 and 2 were groundbreaking to me. I had not read the books. I had not read the novels. I had nothing to do with the world. So when 1 and 2 came out, it intrigued me beyond belief. And I could not wait to see where they would go with it. Part 3 is where it started to lose me because, pardon me, I hate to sound like Jurassic Park, but in your Hunger Games film, you might want to have a little Hunger Games in your Hunger Games film, right? And it is the Hunger Games. I mean, you could have just called it Mockingjay Part 1 and Mockingjay Part 2, but you said the Hunger Games. There were no hunger in the games. Actually, everybody ate pretty good. I mean, you was either murdered or you had food. I mean, I'm surprised they ain't eat the cat. I mean, he was roaming around in a place where people were starving, and bruh, that's 4 pieces in a biscuit right there. But I digress. Let's start with the first one. Now, when I first was met with the Hunger Games as a story, I didn't know what was going. And yeah, it took almost 80 minutes to Hunger Games in the first Hunger Games movie, but we'll forgive that sin because the movie was actually groundbreaking. I like where they went. I like the fact that we were just led to the point where the district can do anything they want. They can conjure up anything they want in a game arena or in the later movies in real life. They can make aliens, zombies, wolf dogs. I'm actually going to say it kind of cheated a little bit and put a cheat code in the first Hunger Games, because when Katniss was too far from the rest of the other tributes and they were just busting her to the face with fireballs, ain't that against the rules? I mean, setting the fire and forcing her to go back to where you want her to go, I feel that. But you was aiming fireballs at her face. So what if she had died? Does that count as a death in the Hunger Games when y'all kill people? It's a question that was never answered. We're gonna let that go.
Seems to me it was a cheap shot to me.
Yeah, I agree. We got a visitor in the Game Dojo. That is the nightmare creature herself. She's back there on her phone. She was actually watching the Hunger Games with me. Like I said, the first movie, out of the ballpark. It was excellent. Held my attention. I didn't even mind the moments of talking and levity. You know how everybody talks about this and that, because it's establishing itself. I get it. The first movie or the first episode in the series, or the first couple episodes in the series, is establishing. It's establishing itself in its universe, so I give it leeway. In Game of Thrones, that was even harder to do because there was a lot of establishing for that first season. Like, there was a lot of talking, dog. Just talking and sex. Hey, there's some action. Talking and sex. Action. Talking and sex. Action. Talking. Some action. But we saw where it went. Phenomenal. But once again, like I said, when it comes to these amazing series, it just seems like they can't stick the landing. I hate to say it, but yeah, Game of Thrones couldn't stick the landing. Walking Dead couldn't stick the landing. Hunger Games couldn't stick the landing. Like, it wasn't the ending that I wanted, and I don't know if they differed from the book because, like I said, I didn't read the book. But I kind of hated the ending. I mean, I understand she's riddled with this pain, and you ain't have to kill Prim off. Oh, spoiler alert! If y'all here, I'm assuming you saw this. If you didn't, you need to click away because that one little spoiler ain't gonna be the last one as we go through here. So I'm gonna give you about 5 seconds to click away. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You've been warned. Like I was saying, they killed her little sister off because I guess her little sister didn't have enough acting lines in the movie. I don't know. First of all, she was safe left back at home with mom. I don't know why she was on the field. And then what happened to the mom? The mom was helping her and taking care of her, and then you never saw the mom again. Mom went fuck all. There you go.
I think the mom was in all that bombing stuff.
She wasn't, because when she was in the hospital, she was taking care of her when she was crying. She was sitting at her hospital bed after she caught the bomb shrapnel to the chest.
Well, excuse me.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I love spirited debates on this, on any movies, any things, like, because some things you can forgive, and some things, you know, they're, like my boy Cinnamon says, there is no movie that is without sin, and some sins are greater than others. Unfortunately, there is a definition of sin here. So, The Hunger Games 1, it ends the way I wanted it to end, and I'm okay. Look, enough time has passed. Let's talk about it. Peeta Mellark. She didn't like Peeta. She didn't care for him. She even yoked him up in the first movie and slammed him against the wall, which ironically enough, in the last movie, he yokes her up and slams her. He slams her the second to the last movie. He yokes her up. Well, he tries to kill her again in the last movie, but that's behind the point. So, anyway, Peeta, for some reason, who she can't stand, ends up becoming the biggest focal point of the entire series, and I don't know why. He did nothing to deserve it. Matter of fact, in the first Hunger Games, he even grouped together with a bunch of people to try to kill her. He led them to her location. He literally camped out below and was waiting for them to try to kill her. He didn't kill them in their sleeps. He didn't do nothing. Like, yeah, so Peeta was a piece of shit. So I'm going to go ahead and say it. He was vampire number 5, in case you guys didn't know that in Twilight. His uncredited with... Anyway, Peeta. So in part 2, of course, they're living their life. They're going a facade lie that, you know, they love each other and they want to be together. And Snow told them, you know, I don't buy this shit. I'll let you live. If you can sell it to me, I'll let you live. So, of course, there was just so much pain. And you know what? I'm going to say it too. I just went back on Peeta, and we ain't finished with Peeta. Not by a long shot. But let's talk about Rue. I ain't over it. Let's talk about Rue. Let's talk about Rue. First of all, if you're going to let 2 people win the Hunger Games, why couldn't she do like the other smart people do that they called nuts and bolts? They hid until the Hunger Games was over. And I know y'all ain't want Katniss and Peeta to have to kill Rue because sooner or later that was going to happen. But come on, dog. She could have drowned. She could have caught some berries. She could have ate some berries and died. Y'all gonna let her take us. You gonna let this little precious girl take a spear to the chest.
Can we just put this out there? I understand you want to have your little Hunger Games and stuff, but why do we have to throw little children in the mix of all of this? They should be excluded until you're at least 18 years of age.
Nah, it's actually based off of a true story of the lottery. See, everybody right now, when they want to win the lottery, oh, I can't wait to win the lottery, I can't win the lottery. When the lottery was first invented, if those of you guys know the story, it was invented for crowd control. Everybody in the town was entered into the lottery, and the person that won was stoned to death. So if you won the lottery, back then, that wasn't a good thing, because that meant you died. This is the way they kept population control down. Everybody was entered. The one person who won, it was stoned to death. So back then, I don't want to win the lottery. Now, I can't wait to win the lottery. So this storyline is based a little bit off of that original lottery storyline. So the people who were picked, I think 11 was probably the cutoff age. But then everybody else in the town was entered to a certain point, and it's supposed to be 2 tributes from each town. Which, see, this is what I don't get. Because in the second movie, which is one we're on now, there were 2 winners from a bunch of different districts. So why did they make it seem like Katniss and Peeta was the first ones that had ever done that, where they had changed the rule where there were 2 victors? Are they trying to say that, like Nuts one year, Volts won another year? Like, are they... Because they didn't explain that. I kind of wish they would have.
I honestly think they wanted them gone. I think that the whatever those people are, the council or whatever they're called, they just wanted them two guys to die. They wanted them gone.
Yeah. But I also think it was bullshit. But I get it. Movie got a movie, yo. So of course he don't buy the bullshit that they're in there, and the people want to fight back, and they're looking for a spark to lead them and unite them. That was the Mockingjay Katniss, which is weird, because enter now Plutarch, the late Philip Seymour Hoffman, who from the beginning when you meet him, there's something off about him, and you can't really picture why until it's revealed later on that he is a part of this rebellion. And he wanted Katniss, but the president, the rebel president, Julianne Moore, she wanted Peeta for some reason, which we didn't see in Peeta what she saw in Peeta until the second to the last movie, the third movie. The third movie, I don't know if they gave Peeta some Hulk juice. They exposed him to some gamma radiation. He got bit by a radioactive spider. But that's the Peeta we should have had in the first Hunger Games. That's the Peeta I wanted to see in the first Hunger Games, because Katniss wouldn't have been all lovey-dovey with him. There wouldn't have been no eating the berries, because, you know what, fuck it, we're going to talk about it. And Mockingjay Part 1, the third Hunger Games movie, Peeta is caught and reprogrammed to kill Katniss. And she spends all movie painstakingly asking for Peeta, crying for Peeta, trying to force people. Peeta should have won. You should have saved Peeta. Peeta is this. Peeta's the best. Peeta, he's vampire number 5. You didn't see him in Twilight, but he's vampire number 5. Peeta to her was the best thing since sliced bread, forgetting the fact that she had a man she loved. Now, I would have stopped talking to the chick at a time like that when all the mouth that come out of her is Peeta. She done tongued him down a few times. She laying in the bed chilling with him. Bro, your time is over. Like, you just ain't got it yet. Your time is over. Step, go somewhere else. But on the same token, she did ask you to take her away and leave. Y'all could have ran away, been living in the woods somewhere, like setting deer meat on fire, and y'all could have been living lavish, but you did not want to go. So everybody in this movie makes sinful mistakes that come back to haunt him, including Lenny Kravitz, who damn it. I wanted the black guy to live, even in the Hunger Games. Damn it, Lenny Kravitz. You had to make that dress. You had to make that damn dress. And then let's talk about Stanley Tucci. What happened to Stanley Tucci? When the Capitol was bombed, I'm sorry, I'm jumping back and forth between movies, and the part 2, Mockingjay Part 2, the fourth film, Stanley Tucci does one telecast where he says Katniss has been blown up and she's dead, and then all the rest of the movie and the storming, you never see him or his purple hair and purple eyebrows again. So I'm assuming he died, because even at the end when he had all the new people in there and everybody else surrendered, there was no Stanley Tucci, there was no doom 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 doom, there was no telecast, there was nothing. So I'm assuming Stanley Tucci died, but we don't know because they never tell us. Like I said, what are you gonna say?
The dress. I was back to the dress. The dress had to be made to make a statement.
Oh, it made a statement, all right. That Lenny Kravitz was up out of here.
He knew what he was going to get.
He knew he was going to die, because that's why when they was clapping for him and celebrating him at the award show, he looked like he had bad clams, because he had the stomach virus face, because he knew his shit was done. But
he looks like he had that drink that makes you throw up to eat more.
Look, I'm not hating on the series as a whole. The series as a whole is a wonderful universe. I would say I ran it somewhere along the lines of Divergent and I don't know, because it's not magic, it's technology. That's what it is. It's not magic, it's technology. Because I understand when he was in the game preserves, all the magical creatures and dogs and alien shit. Yeah, I get all of that. But when they were out in the capital city at the end and they were storming the city, I just have a question. Why would Snow have rotating blades under a train platform that destroys everything? If not, what purpose does that serve? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't a game preserve. And I understand the game makers have the power in the game preserve because it's, it's prepared and everything for them. But he didn't prepare the city for the attack by Katniss by having all of that stuff underneath there. And if it's computer generated, how is it really cutting up the cement in the train station? And then why does it stop at a point? See, here's the thing. From my point of view, I kind of look at the last movie as an actual Hunger Games event, because the alien creatures that come after them, the oil that pours out of nowhere that goes into nowhere in the city, there's a lot of stuff that happens. You're like, oh, it's their technology. But the technology was invented for the Hunger Games arena, not the city. And if he really had it all there in the city all along, then what was he preparing for? You see what I'm saying? It's like the movie knew the script and followed along because the script needed it. That's kind of lazy. It's kind of lazy cinematography-wise. And don't get me wrong. Cinematography-wise, this movie is amazing. It's beautiful sets, beautiful environments, beautiful. And can we establish whether or not this is the future or the past? Because things they should have technology-wise, because they show a crazy amount of technology, but then when it comes to basic things, the technology doesn't exist yet. So it's kind of throwing me because I can't figure out what time frame it's supposed to be, which is, I don't know. I kind of feel two emotions. I'm ambivalent. I kind of feel like I'm ambivalent at the same time. I love and hate. But the first two movies, out of the park, absolutely amazing. A little bit more talking in the second movie than there was the first movie, even though the first movie it took 80 minutes to Hunger Games in a Hunger Games movie. I can forgive that. You establish in your universe. The third movie is where it started to go off track because now we got the whole rebellion thing going on, and I understand that was part of the movie, but then it's, I guess, Hunger Games because it's the franchise. But there was no Hunger Games in the third movie. Like, there were no Hunger Games. Like, everybody was out. The rebellion was going against the Capitol going against the people. And here's the one thing that I don't get. Her crying, which, I'm sorry, look, I'm not woman abusing. I'm not woman bashing in any way, shape, size, or form. But she spent more time in the last two movies crying and just annoyingly paused with fear. That I agree. Maybe she shouldn't have been the Mockingjay. Maybe they should have chose somebody else, because she made some serious mistakes. That somehow she lived through, and I'm not sure I can forgive that sin, because she should have been dead as fried chicken a very long time ago. And then you killed off some of the most amazing people in the movie for what? Why were they sacrificed? My boy, Finnick just got married. He was back there, and he just shows up to the fight for what reason? Finnick never wanted to be in a fight. He never wanted to be in the Hunger Games. He wanted to live his life. He finally got his girl back from the Capitol. They marry, and I don't know how she let him go. I mean, I don't understand his point of them being there. And then here's the real craziest part. Every 5 minutes, they got to fall asleep. Now, they're supposed to be storming the Capitol. This is a military operation. I haven't seen too many military operations where every 5 minutes you falling asleep and drinking beer and talking. You do realize you're on the clock, right? Like, you're on a clock. When you guys were in the rebel base at District 2, they said tomorrow we're storming the Capitol. Which, let me explain something to you guys. Military strategy-wise, walking through the front door and up to the person that wants to mutilate you, never a good option. Oh, we're just gonna throw bodies at it. No. You gotta use your brain meats. You gotta use your noodle. That's where military strategists come from. You guys had great military strategists and a game maker, Plutarch, right there with you. So you had brilliant game making. You understand who Snow is and how he acts. So walking through the front door, willing to sacrifice everybody in the underneath Panem, not a good idea at all.
Can we just clarify something? My girl Jenna Malone, okay? My girl Jenna Malone should have been the Mockingjay because she had more stones in her than Katniss did. I'm just putting it out there.
I agree with that. My name is Rain and I approve that message. I agree with that. There were, like I said, look, I understand Jennifer Lawrence was the face of the franchise, and I understand she had to be the martyr for it. But in the end, she was the one that was effed over more than everybody else. Because think about it, everybody lost everything the entire movie long. So the fact that she still had her mom and her sister, like, you had to know at some point somebody was going to get lost. I mean, even the damn cat lived, which means the cat had more sense than her sister Primrose. But I digress. So on to the third movie, which is where we're at now. Well, we've been in the third movie. We've been jumping around, but moving the story forward. In the third movie, the whole big quest is to go and get Peeta back because she can't go 5 minutes without Peeta. She can't go 5 minutes without talking about Peeta. Which, if I was your boyfriend and Peeta keep coming out of your mouth as much as you say, like, I know we done, we through. Like, I'd have just pulled you aside, like, yeah, this thing, we over, right? Yeah, I can see where the wind is going. So I'll tell you what, I'm gonna go do my thing with about 1,000 other free women, and I hope you and Peeta, I wish you all the best. But no, that didn't happen. So what ends up happening is the Capitol bombs their little districts where they're hiding. They destroy her hometown. And basically, it's just the obliteration of them and their spirit because somehow Snow has all this power to do all of this, which I don't get it, but I get it. So it is what it is because movie got a movie, yo.
Movie's got a movie.
So at the end of the movie, she finally gets Peeta back. And let me tell you something. I don't know what year the third movie came. Can you do me a favor?
What's the favor?
What year did Mockingjay come out? The third movie, Mockingjay Part 1. The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1. What year did that movie come out? Because I'm getting ready to give an award out right now. And it's a bad award, but it needs to be said because, damn.
I'm getting there.
She's looking it up now. I need the year because I gotta do it justice. You got it yet?
Getting theirs. Are you talking which one? The
Mockingjay Part 1.
2014.
2014. So, the award for most fucked upness in the excellence field of bastardness, I have to give to Peeta Mellark. Because Peeta, at the end of Mockingjay Part 1, there's a scene where she's so happy to see Peeta because she finally got him back. And she walks around to the front of Peeta's eyes, and Peeta looks like he got some demons in him. His eyes was all dark and black. He done lost about 50 pounds. Peeta, anybody who has common sense would look at him and be like, something ain't right. Something ain't right there. Is he possessed by the nun? Like, something is wrong. So, of course, she's so happy to see him. He jumps up off the bed, grabs her by the throat, smashes her into the glass. And remember, this is the same Peeta who could fling a 100-pound sack clean over his shoulder. So he got strength, but now he got some Hulk strength. So he body slams her onto the table, all while holding onto her throat. He blows Amish off. He blows Tallahassee from Zombieland off. He throws Mahershala Ali Blade. He throws Blade off with one arm. Now, this is Peeta. This is the weakling Peeta. This is why I said this is the Peeta we needed to see in the first Hunger Games. So with black eyes, he chokes her, lifts her up, slams her on the table, throws her to the ground, and proceeds to choke her until her eyeball blood vessels pop red. Like he was aiming for the tilt sign. If it wasn't for the fact that somebody smacked him upside his head with a metal bedpan, Katniss was dead right then and there. And you see the extent later on when she wakes up and her broken blood vessels in her eyes. She can't talk. Her throat, her voice box has been partially crushed. She got bruising and fingerprints. Peeta did a number on Katniss. And let me explain this, guys, to you. Peeta, this one person she's been pining over and looking for the entire movie, ends up being her undoing in this movie. And this is the soft Peeta that we've seen since part 1 and part 2. And I'm just saying, I would love to have seen this Peeta in part 1 in the actual Hunger Games. I want to see him go against some of those bastards that was taking advantage of everybody and killing little children. I would like to have seen that Peeta, which in part 2, when the tributes get retributalized and they do the quarter quell games, Peeta chokes somebody underwater and kills them. So this is the beginning of the dark side of Peeta. Peeta is a Sith Lord. If this was Star Wars, Peeta is a Sith Lord, because this is the beginning of his darkness. Peeta has some bodies under his belt. So in part 3, when you see this evil Peeta, I got a feeling this darkness was in him for a very long time. His mom was beating him up and abusing him, smacking him. He burnt bread. He even told her to her face, like, if I know now what I knew then, I would have threw that bread to the hogs instead of giving it to you. Which, he probably would have been better off, but it is what it is, because he volunteered for Hamage and joined the Olympics. He joined the Hunger Games for Hamage, because, let's just face it, if Woody Harrelson would have joined the Hunger Games, Woody would have died. So that brings us to the last movie, the very last movie, Mockingjay 2, Part 2. And it starts off completely where the last movie left. And they could have just given us a 4-hour movie. We've done it with, whatchamacallit, what is that movie? Lord of the Rings. We've done it with Harry Potter. Like, there's 4-hour presentations we could sat through. We was at the point, you didn't have to break it up, but I know y'all wanted extra box money.
They even put the 4-hour Snyder's cut.
Yeah. So they just wanted extra money for people's pockets. So they broke up the third movie into 2 parts. So we're led to believe that Peeta has this hatred to Katniss because he was programmed there. But during the course of the movie, we also see Peeta murder some of their own team. And people don't do anything to Peeta. Nothing happens to Peeta. Like, that's the scene I was talking about when they were in the Capitol and the oil comes in. First of all, who sent Peeta to the front lines? Every chance he get, he's been trying to kill Katniss. Every chance he get, he even turned on Primrose there. He even turned on her in the room. Whose idea was it to send uncuffed Peeta to the battle lines to fight alongside Katniss?
That would be Jillian Moore. She's the one who put it in motion because she wanted Katniss dead too.
Which at this point of the story, and I hate it. I absolutely hate it. It's my favorite line. I could say it until I puke coat hangers. But I absolutely hated the fact that you made us hate Snow so much. And then at the end, oh, well, I'm not the bad one alone. You know, the person you're fighting with is bad too. No. And we got cheated out of it. We never got to see what happened to Snow. We saw the crowd run in, and then we just thought Snow was dead. She could have shot him with the arrow, and she could have shot her and then shot him. 2 for the price of 1. I doubted anybody would have been angry that she killed Snow with an arrow too.
I guess she wanted the people to go ahead and do what they wanted to do with Snow.
That was bullshit. All the things Snow took from her, she said she wanted to see the light go out in his eyes, and she should have been there to do it. And it pisses me off. Number 2, everybody knew pretty much that Julianne Moore dropped the bombs. Because it was her order, it was her plan, and she executed it. So the people there fully well knew what she was doing. She murdered children. How could anybody have been okay with that, but yet and still you guys were? And like I said, them to just sacrifice Primrose at the end, that was just bullshit, because there was no need for her to be there. She was a nurse. She was back safe in town. She was no part of the rebellion. She was no fighter. She never took time to fight her. Katniss never taught her how to fight.
Jillian Moore did that on purpose.
No. She was there because she wanted to fight. The same reason why she wanted to go in and talk to Peeta. She thought she was a badass. She thought she was lit. Hey. Look, man, it is what it is. So at the end of the movie, Katniss is left with nothing but pain and anger. We don't know what the hell happened to her mom. We know Primrose is dead. She was banished from the Capitol, but they said they was going to pardon her later on, so she can't even live in wealth and fame. And she basically lost all of that to save Panem, and her reward for that is banishment back to a place that was destroyed. Which, oddly enough.
Which I find kind of be a slap in the face to me.
Yeah, I mean, I understand you guys had to write an ending, but you guys do realize in stories sometimes you can write a happy ending. Like, it does happen sometimes. That's what people love about stories. And this is a fairy tale, so why can't this fairy tale have a happy ending, or at least an okay ending? I mean, she ended up with Peeta. Her and Peeta had a kid.
They had two.
Haymitch lived with them.
They had two.
I get it. Haymitch lived with them. The kids don't matter. They ain't even give them names. We don't even know who the hell the kids were. They didn't even say, hey, little Paul. Hey, Michaelette. Like, there was no names. Oh, I'm going to call you Primrose after my sister. No, we didn't get none of that. So they ain't even name them. They ain't even filled enough. It's like they just sewed together the story at the end to finish it. And I'm quite sure the book had more content in it. And this is what happened in movies. Books have more content. Movies cut it short. And this is what we end up with. But The Hunger Games as a whole, it's a big meal. Not all of it is good. Sometimes you have to eat peas and Brussels sprouts because they're on your plate. And I think that's some of the parts of 2 and 1. Well, the third and the fourth movie, they have a lot of Brussels sprouts, a lot of vegetables, a lot of things on the plate you would choose to, scrape off. The macaroni and cheese is good on those plates. I'm saying this because it was around Thanksgiving when I was watching this. I couldn't enjoy my Thanksgiving, but I am now. I enjoyed my Thanksgiving, but I prefer to have like the turkey and the macaroni and cheese. I got it later on, but it wasn't, the same. Like I said, I had to work. It was, don't worry about that. So anyway, what do we give this series as a whole here in the Game Dojo? Now, we're going to go through real quick. Movie part 1, if I was to give it a rating, it's definitely a gold. 24K gold. 24K on the scale of awesomeness. The same as part 2. It was a little bit slower, but it did have Hunger Games in it. And that's basically what I was intrigued about. The Hunger Games themselves. I know they didn't want us to do a third Hunger Games because maybe there was no way to do it. So they actually turned the Hunger Games arena from the game arena into real life. So it was basically the real Hunger Games in real life now instead of an arena, which that may have been the point all along. And actually now that seems more than likely. So I think that's what it was. So I would have to say the last 2 movies, I'm not going to do them individual. I will do them together because together they make a 24K gold. Apart, they would be a silver. Each one of them will be a silver, but together they make a gold. So the Mockingjay part 1 and 2 together make a gold because they are bits. They are part of one movie. I wish they would have released a version where both of those just ran together. So the Hunger Games as a whole here in the Game Dojo, we're going to give 24 karat gold. 24 karat gold on a Game Ninja scale of awesomeness. Great story. Could be a little bit drawn out at times, which I don't mind. I do love a great story, but on the same token, you could have cut for content a lot of those things, especially in part 2 and part 1 and part 2 in the latter movies. There was a lot of things going on and a lot of talking and downtime and levity that you could have just cut. You really could have just cut. A lot of sacrifices that didn't mean anything because we didn't know. There were characters introduced to us we had never seen before that we're supposed to just accept that these people are the best of the best, even though we never heard of them. None of them was considered to be the symbol of the revolution for some reason. Okay, so 24K gold will be the Hunger Games series here in the Game Dojo. I just watched it again. I've watched it a few times, which means it has a hell of a rewatchability factor, which I'll give it that. I would say I would put this along the lines of the Divergent series. I feel about the same way, the Divergent series. The first couple of movies, pretty good. Last couple of movies, not so much, because I think they just forgot what to do. But Mockingjay, part 1 and part 2, together is gold. Separate, they're silver. And yeah, there it is. My review for The Hunger Games. I know it has been a minute since I've done a movie review, and this one's a little bit longer than I expected to be, but I needed to go through all 4 movies to do it justice. Like it, buy it. Buy it on Blu-ray while you can, because I hear that sometime next year, in the next coming month or 2, they're trying to do away with physical media, guys. Best Buy, Walmart, and a bunch of other stores, they're trying to do away with just getting rid of DVDs altogether. So they're moving to the digital aspect, and you knew they would. Time marches on. I feel the same way as everybody else. There's the reason why I started digitalization a few years ago. I was ahead of the curve. I still am. Unfortunately, this is just how things got to go. But I would say if there was a liking scale, I would say buy it on Blu-ray or 4K. The visuals are stunning. The music is great. The graphics are awesome. It's CG done correctly, which proof again that in the later years, CG can be done believably. And this is one of the movies that proves the latter, that it can be done. So from the Game Dojo, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thank you for joining me for the Hunger Games entire series. And I have the Song of Fire and Ice, or the Ballad of Songs and Birds and Ice, or it's the Snow story. And quite honestly, I don't give a damn about his story. I mean, I'll watch it because it's part of the series, but I don't give a damn about a series. I don't give a damn about Snow. I don't care what made him the asshole he was. I'm sorry, I really don't. At this point, I couldn't care less. If you're gonna make a prequel, just show me some Hunger Games before Katniss. Just make movies called Hunger Games before Katniss, and let us see how those other characters, before they met Katniss, won their games. Let me see how my boy electrocuted 8 tributes at the same time. That was awesome. You talked about it in the later movies, but we didn't see it. Like how they won by blending in and using their brains. How the girl filed her teeth down to sharps so she could bite into people and murder them. Like, there are so many beautiful, great, amazing, intricate stories that you guys could be telling. We don't really give a shit about Jon Snow. Oh, well, Jon Snow. No, we give a shit about Jon Snow. We don't give a shit about President Snow. Whew. Some people gonna come for me in the comments on that one. Jon Snow. No, President Snow. Jon Snow from Game of Thrones, yes, we give a shit about him. We do. We don't like his storyline and the way they wrapped it, but yes, we care about Jon Snow. President Snow is no. So I'll see you guys later on. From the Game Dojo, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for joining me here at 24K Movies. I'll check you guys out later.